Hello everybody, hey, it's Chris here, and I really like Dead by Daylight. We know! So I got to thinking, what is something that is physically unskippable as a title? What is something that you just see and you have to, click on? And what would be a unique tier list for Dead by Daylight? And it hit me. It hit me like a freight train. I am transgender. People dislike me for being transgender. Let's make a tier list out of that. So I present to you the first and only, as far as I know, Dead by Daylight tier list, where we will be tiering the killers based off how against or for trans rights they would be. We have 7 tiers here. We have trans themselves, self-explanatory, 100% allied. They would ride or die for trans people, but they are not trans themselves. Don't know what trans people are, but would be supportive. If you may have to sit down and talk to them about it, but I don't think they'd find an issue with it. Just wouldn't care / understand. This is for people who I just don't think it would change them at all. Like, they will still kill regardless. They don't care. Whereas they can't understand, it's like Demogorgon, like they just physically cannot comprehend it. Chaser, they may not like trans people, but they like them in other ways. Transphobic, yeah, they just don't agree with trans people whatsoever. And the final tier, J.K. Rowling tier. This is only going to go to like 2 people, and I think it's going to make perfect sense when you see it, and I know for a fact this video, as much attention as it's going to get, it's probably also going to get a lot of pushback from people, because despite the fact Dead by Daylight is, like, they have like a million different pride flags you can set as, like, your banner and stuff, and have as charms. They have a literal collaboration with drag queens. They do charity events and donate to LGBTQ charities all the fucking time. They literally have a canonically stated transgender character. Yeah, no, there are still quite a few transphobes in the Dead by Daylight community. Somehow, I don't understand how or why, but there are. So, yeah. I'm just saying, this is just for fun. I'm not doing this to be like, see, my favorite fictional character would agree with me. No, I'm just... this is just for fun. This is just for shits and giggles. Have some joy and whimsy in your life for once. And with that out of the way, let's start our tier list off with the first killer, going in order of killer list. First killer up we have is the Trapper. Trapper is kind of interesting for me to place, just because he seems so fickle in his beliefs between either, man, like, he just goes with whatever, like, whatever crowd he's listening to. Like, if he's listening to the miners, he's gonna sit there and fight for the workers' rights and whatever against his father. But then when he's listening to his father, he's gonna just believe, like, what his father says, and then, he just has enough and kills them. And I know there's more, I'm just simplifying it, but I feel like Trapper is fickle, and so I really don't know where else to put him besides don't know what trans people are, but would be supportive, just because if you told him you supported trans rights, he may not support it, but he would say he supported it. Like, he would say he supported it just to, like, if it won your favor. I feel like Evan is kind of fickle like that. And plus, if you kind of explained, like, trans, so he'd be like, fight against the system, I guess he could kind of see it as, oh, it's like me fighting against the entity. Oh, okay, makes a little bit of sense. And I feel like you could kind of persuade him a little bit. Like, a little bit before, he, like, bludgeons you in the head with a machete, I feel like you could at least talk him into a little bit of sense with it. The Wraith, 100% ally. I do not see how Wraith could at all be transphobic, considering his entire life he was being hunted down as a member of a marginalized group in an active war zone. He was always being hunted and attacked, and he ended up having to kill because of that. So I very much feel like he would understand and relate to the struggles of trans people. I do not feel like he would sit there and at all, like, be transphobic, because, I mean, he would, like, sit there and be able to relate to the feeling of being discriminated against, being part of a marginalized group. I feel like Wraith 100% would understand. Hillbilly is an interesting one, because he's interesting because I really just think he wouldn't care. I'm not saying that he wouldn't understand, because he does seem to have, he is very knowledgeable, he's very smart. But I really just do not think Hillbilly would care. I mean, he's like teetering the line between would be supportive and wouldn't care. He's like teetering the line, I feel like. And like, as much as I would like to be like, well, yeah, he knows how it feels feeling like a monster and everyone would, you know. I feel like despite, even though if you tried playing that card, he just wouldn't care. He wouldn't care and he would still try and kill you. Like, he would just kill you. No questions asked before you could explain it to him because he just doesn't care. I feel like that's the best place to put him. Like I don't know. I don't know. I'm probably not. Again, I'm not 100% super knowledgeable on every single little tiny fun fact detail about all the killers, so I may get things wrong. But this is, again, just for fun and shits and giggles. The nurse. Welcome to the first person being put in J.K. Rowling tier. Yeah, the nurse, to me, she just screams turf. She just, and I'm not, and it's just because it's the time period she's from, because she's from the 1940s, or the early 1900s. It's the time period she's from, the fact that, as far as the Dead by Daylight lore goes, and what was written in, like, the tomes and stuff about her, in her rewritten lore and all that, she kind of leans on eugenicist a little bit, and I definitely feel like she would see a transgender patient and just scream mentally ill and, like, try and put them out their misery because she sees them as mentally, like, unfixable. I feel like the nurse would just see transgender people as mentally ill and would need to be put down for their own sake. I feel like that is kind of just how she would roll. I really feel like she would be in extreme turf. Michael Myers just wouldn't care. Bro, he would not give a shit. He's just gonna kill you. He doesn't give a fuck. He does not care. The Hag, I'm gonna put transphobic. As a transgender person from a southern United States state, tragically, I feel like Hag, especially the time period she was around, yeah, she would be transphobic. I mean, obviously, I'm kind of tempted to put her in just wouldn't care because she's still gonna, like, maul you and eat you regardless. But I just really feel like beforehand, because of where she is and where she would be raised, she would 100% be transphobic. Like, instead of pulling some shit out about the Bible, she'd be like, well, the Hexes told me that that's not right. And you know, whatever southern part she's from. Like, I just feel like, yeah, she's not gonna be nurse level, like, we need to cleanse the world of you. But she's gonna tell you to go to church and get right with God. The doctor, I just think it'd be really funny if the doctor was a chaser. I just think it'd be funny. He'd pull you in to torture you with his electroshock CIA therapy. He'd find out you're transgender, and he would, like, start getting sick pleasure out of torturing you. Like, yeah, no, I just feel like the doctor would just pull some crazy shit, and he'd be, like, he'd be all over trans people because he'd want to see how they tick in every single way by torturing them as badly as he could. He may not be a chaser sexually, but if he finds out about transgender people, that's going to be a field day for Doctor. I can just tell. A Huntress? I think she doesn't know what trans people are, but she would be supportive. Because here's the thing, I feel like, because she does the Pied Piper thing, right? She slaughters whole villages and, you know, Pied Pipers the kids away. Like, obviously take all the little girls and stuff. I feel like if she saw a little boy who was trying to be a little girl, she would just see him, he would just see them as a little girl. And she would just be like, you know, come with me or whatever. And I feel like there's no way you could talk to her about trans, like, she would not understand whatsoever the idea of trans people. But I feel like if she saw a kid who was trans, I feel like she would treat them the same as she treats the rest of the kid. Like, she would be completely supportive, completely supportive until she starves them all to death because she doesn't feed them, but whatever. I feel like she would just see them the same. Basically. Leatherface, Cannibal, Bubba, whatever you want to call him. I feel like he just wouldn't care. He just wouldn't care. like, I don't know. I really just do not think he would give a fuck. I just don't think Bubba would care. He'd see you, and he'd kill you to eat you. Like, I just think that's just how it is with Bubba. He'd just kill you to eat you. He doesn't care. Freddy Krueger. Yeah, I'll put Freddy Krueger in transphobic tier. He'd be the kind of person to, like, haunt a transgender person and then, like, just fucking torture them in their nightmare with, like, dysphoria or whatever. Like I know for a fact he would. Or he'd give them a nightmare about, like, a surgery going wrong or something. Like, he would torment trans people, and he would find it funny. And I feel like if Freddy Krueger was alive, he'd be the same motherfucker who would sit there and be like, all transgender people are... Despite the very obvious fact about Freddy Krueger. I feel like he would 1000% be the hypocrite there. He would project. He would definitely project. Yeah, no. Amanda Young, I don't know much about Saw. I really don't know much about Saw. I feel like she wouldn't care. She'd just throw you in a Saw trap regardless. She may make a Saw trap about being trans. I don't know. It's like, to get out of the reverse bear trap, there's a key inside your penis you have to, like, cut it off or whatever. If, like some shit like that. I don't know. I just feel like at most she'd make a Saw trap slightly relating to it, but not much, or she just wouldn't give a fuck and she'd just Saw trap you normally. Like, I do not feel like Amanda would go crazy with that. Clown, I get such transphobic vibes. Like, no, not even transphobic. I get chaser vibes. He's a transphobic chaser. He is the fat guy who sits there and retweets all the fucking, like, would retweet all the fucking right-wing, Trump-owning liberal shit. But then he'd go into a trans person, like, a trans OnlyFans creator's DMs and be like, hey, wanna see me? And it's just like, dude. It's just like, dude. He's like right towing the line between transphobic and chaser, but I think it's funnier to put him in chaser. Spirit, I feel like Spirit would be an ally. I feel like she'd be 100% ally. I just feel like because she defends the kids when they're being bullied. She fights off the bullies to defend the kids. So I feel like she would sit there, like, she doesn't tolerate bullies. I feel like she would sit there and fight for trans people because she'd see everyone else bullying them for being trans. I feel like she literally just would not be, like I just do not feel like she could at all be transphobic. Legion. Actually, I mean, it depends which Legion member. Because I feel like, yeah, Susie and Joey and the other girl, whatever her name is, I feel like they would be allies. But I really feel like Frank would be transphobic. I really just feel like Frank would be transphobic as shit. I don't know. I have the feeling Frank would be transphobic. But I feel like the others would be so supportive. Especially, like, Susie, because, like, you know, she's a lesbian. She's, like, canonically a lesbian. So I feel like, yeah, she would be very supportive of trans people. I'll just put them in ally because 3 is bigger than 1. So, 3 out of 4 of them would support trans people. The Plague. I feel like Plague... Again, I don't think she knows what trans people are, but she would be supportive. Only because back then in ancient Babylon and stuff, and all those ancient empires, they actually were a bit more willing to accept things like other genders and, you know, like changing, like being like, oh, I'm neither male or female, I'm like this or whatever. Like, I mean, Native American tribes had stuff like 2 spirits, and, you know, some of the Southeast Asia original civilizations had, you know, more genders and stuff. And I feel like Plague could understand that, as long as you make it like a religious thing, as long as you say like, oh, like the gods said I should be a female, but I was cast by the devil into this male body. I feel like if you worded it like that, then she would 100% be supportive. But I don't think that is something that would cross her mind instinctually. I feel like you'd have to word it in like a really weird, roundabout, religious way for her to understand it. Ghostface. I feel like it'd be funny if he was a chaser. He'd be a trans supportive chaser. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like, well, I mean, I don't know. He's from Florida. He's from Florida. I feel, I don't know. I feel like chaser's a good spot. I feel like, yeah, he'd stalk a trans woman and kill them. I mean, he does that to normal girls, but I feel like he would be a trans-inclusive girl killer. He would kill females, but he would make sure that he's being trans-inclusive with it. But I also just feel like he would definitely be a chaser on the side. I just get the vibes. Demogorgon. The Demogorgon physically cannot probably understand transgender, nor do I think if it could, it would care, like, at all. It just wouldn't care. Oni would be transphobic. It's just the time period. It's like, what, 14th, 15th century Japan? It's just the time period. He just would not be supportive. And plus, if you're a mab and you're trying to transition to a female, he'd probably be upset, like, oh, you're disgracing the family and all that stuff. So he'd be transphobic. Deathslinger, same thing. I feel like he'd be transphobic. As much as I love Deathslinger, he's my main. I mean, it's the time period. It's the Wild West. I mean, there are people out there in the Wild West who probably did support trans people because, like, yeah, it goes against the system, whatever, we're on our own rules. But I feel like, I don't know, I really feel like Deathslinger would just be transphobic. Like, he just wouldn't care. Like he would just be like, go to God, or whatever the hell. Pyramid Head, again, I feel like this is another one where he just wouldn't care or understand. I just feel like he just would not care. Like, Pyramid Head, just, he wouldn't care. The Blight. The Blight, I feel like, much like Doctor, would be a chaser. I feel like he would. I mean, it's like right there, like written in the star. I feel like Blight would be a chaser. Like, just plain and simple, he would want to experiment on trans people, and he'd be like, oh, I want to see what the reaction of the Blight serum and your hormones would do together. I want to see what it does. And, try and see if, the Blight serum could help transition people faster. I don't know what the fuck he would do, but yeah. Like, I feel like, much like Doctor, he would go out of his way to experiment on trans people as much as possible if he found out what they were. The twins, I feel, again, I have to put Ally here. Yeah, I just feel like, again, it's a lot like Wraith, where Victor and Charlotte were targeted most of their lives, being hunted down and chased most of their lives. I feel like they could relate very well to trans people and be like, hey, you're hunted down and hated on because you're monsters. We're hunted down and hated on because, we're seen as monsters. I feel like the twins would very much so just be supportive like that. I feel like that they would very much relate. You may have to explain it to them a little bit because of the time period, but I feel like they wouldn't have issues with it. I feel like they would, I feel like they would just be supportive. Trickster literally has a skin which just makes them a woman. I mean, I know it's supposed to be like AI generated rip-off Trickster and all, but I don't know. I don't know. I see pure trans on that. I don't know. Like gender fluid maybe, but yeah, Trickster's trans. Nemesis. Realistically, Nemesis is going and wouldn't care, understand. But I just think it's hysterical that I put him in Chaser. I just think think it's really funny because of the stereotype of him tunneling, and then also just the fact that, you know, he chases after people just consistently. And I feel, I don't know, I just feel like it would be very funny to imagine Nemesis break down a wall and scream, "Trans!" like how he screams stars. Like, I love that idea for Nemesis. Like, yes, Nemesis would be a chaser. Pinhead, I mean, anywhere from 100% ally to trans themselves. I mean, I'm just gonna put trans themselves. I mean, they go, like the Cenobites just evolve from something beyond human, and I feel like the concept of gender for them just doesn't care or matter, and, like, I just feel like this is the only tier you could categorize them in, because to them, gender does not exist to the Cenobites. So I feel like, yeah, that's a good representation. Artist, 100% ally, very anti-government. She is very anti-government, very much fighting against the, you know, system essentially with her art, and, you know, she gets horrifically maimed because of it. But I feel like she would 1000% be supportive for trans people in that fight. I just feel like she really would be. The Onryo, Sadako. First of all, rest in peace to the creator of the original Ringu novels. He recently passed away. Rest in peace. But Sadako is actually canonically intersex. Sadako is intersex. So, yeah, Sadako easily goes into trans themselves. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. It's awesome to see that representation. It really is. So, yeah, Sadako easily trans themselves. Like these other two are kind of just interpretations of things, whereas Sadako is literally canonically trans. Dredge. Wouldn't care, understand. It is a manifestation of dark thoughts. Of dark, terrible thoughts. I do not feel like Dredge. I mean, unless it was a super transphobic community of dark thoughts, I do not see how Dredge could be transphobic. Albert Wesker, yeah, going in J.K. Rowling tier. This is like the only other person I see going in this tier. Just because, I mean, come on. Much like Nurse, Albert Wesker is essentially a eugenicist. He talks about himself as he's perfect. He wants to, like, change the world and make the world perfect and all this shit with Ouroboros and, you know, change the it just screams eugenicist to me. It really does. Like, horribly so. Like, Wesker's cool and all, but man, yeah, he would 1000% see trans people as less than him and would want to stomp them out along with everyone else he saw less than him. So him and Nurse are cuddled up right next to each other very well into J.K. Rowling tier. The Knight, it's just the time period he was a part of. He would be transphobic. He literally goes on the Crusades, and that's when he, like, murders everyone. He's Hungarian from, like, the 12th century. He would be transphobic. Let's not beat around the bush. He would be transphobic. Skull Merchant, I feel like she wouldn't know what trans people are, but she'd be supportive. Like, she wouldn't know, and then you'd explain it to her, and she'd be like, oh shit, okay, cool. Is there a rich trans person I could kill? Like, you know, I feel like she just, like, unless you're, like, the CEO of a company, I feel like she would just fuck with you. Like, she would just fuck with you and not see a problem with you. Singularity, I would say transphobic. Because the only reason I'm not going in J.K. Rowling tier is because I fully see Hux as sitting there and just seeing all humans the exact same. He's not going to treat trans people any differently than the less he'll see humans. But that being said, he does still want to exterminate all humans. He wants to kill every human because they're beneath him. So, while Wesker would sit there and see trans as a flaw, Hux just sees being human as a flaw. So therefore, Hux only gets put in transphobic tier. He's slightly less transphobic than Albert Wesker. Xenomorph just wouldn't understand or care. It's like a dog. It's a wild animal. It just wouldn't care. Chucky, Chucky literally has a gender fluid child. I mean, that's why the clip of the show where he says gender fluid, I mean, he literally has a gender fluid child that he is fully supportive of. He is 1,000% an ally. The unknown, again, just wouldn't care or understand. It wouldn't understand if you're trans or not. If you try and figure out what, if you try and figure out what it is, it's just gonna kill you. It's just gonna kill you. Well, you know what, by that measure, then honestly, you know what, Hux gets moved up to just wouldn't care / understand tier, just because Singularity, again, wouldn't care. He just wouldn't care. So yeah, you know what, Singularity gets moved up there. I'm sorry for the diss, Hux, you're my goat. Vecna, again, just wouldn't care. He wouldn't care. I mean, at most, he may be like, oh, you're trans and the HRT whittled your bones, so now you're a weaker skeleton that I can command. Like, oh. Like, I don't think he would care. Like, he just wouldn't give a fuck. He just hates humans. Dracula, same thing. He just wouldn't care. He just wouldn't care. He hates humans and he wants humans to die. There's not much more to it than that. Houndmaster. I think she doesn't know what trans people are, but she would be supportive. And by being supportive, I mean, if you came out to her as trans on her crew, she'd be like, all right, cool. As long as you still do your fucking work, I don't care. Like she would not attack someone for being trans. Like, she would just be like, she'd be like, okay, cool. You want me to call you a lass? Sure. You're still doing the work of a laddie. Like, I'm paying you to be a laddie. I'm just gonna call you a lass, kind of thing. Like stealth transphobic. But she's like, she thinks she's being supportive, but she's actually being a little bit transphobic. But I feel like in her heart, she's trying to mean well by that. And I see that and I'm like, yeah, she could very well do better. But I feel like she's trying. And as long as she keeps trying to be a little bit less transphobic, I feel like Houndmaster could easily be in this tier. Ken Kaneki, Tokyo Ghoul Man, John Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghouling it everywhere. He would be an ally. I mean, he, again, gets turned into a ghoul. He hates it. I think he would understand the trans experience. Just because of him going from human to ghoul, I feel like he would just be like, oh man, I understand you. Can I eat you? like he would be supportive, but if you were a transgender ghoul, he'd be fully supportive. If you're a transgender human, he'd be supportive, but he'd still try and eat you. Springtrap. I feel like he doesn't know what trans people are, but he'd be supportive. I feel like he'd be You know what? No, he wouldn't. He just wouldn't care. He would just see you, and if you're a little kid, he'd kill you. If you're an adult, he'd kill you. I mean, he would call you like the girl and stuff, or like he would affirm your gender identity if it got you to the back room where he could kill you. But he doesn't mean it. He's just doing it just to kill you. Like, I just feel like William just wouldn't care. And, like, I was gonna immediately think in my head, well, what if one of his kids came out as trans? But then I sat there and be like, William's fucking abusive to his kids. I'm sorry, William does not care about his kids. If you think a child serial killer gives a shit about his kids, you need to reevaluate your thinking. I'm sorry. I don't hate the headcanon, but I do not agree with it whatsoever. Kresu. I don't know jack shit about her lore. I barely read it. I played Kresu once in my entire life. I have never played against her. I know literally jack shit about this character. But she's from Thai folklore. And I know, like I said earlier, with the plague, Southeast Asian countries have had things with, transgender people and extra genders. I mean, I know it's kind of derogatory, but is literally a term there. And so I feel like she would be an ally. I feel like she would be supportive just based off her culture around her and the history of her culture. I feel like she would be supportive. And finally, Vecna, Stranger Things, the weaker Vecna. I also don't know much about him, but he has a very genocidal, eugenicist view of humanity, as far as I'm aware. So I feel like he would be transphobic. He would see being trans as lesser than you. Actually, no, I'd put him in J.K. Rowling tier. I think he would just see being trans as another reason why, like, you're lesser than him. Like, he would see you being trans as specifically, like, another tally, being like, you're lower on the list. That means you gotta die first, kind of deal. But yeah, that's it. That is my tier list for every Dead by Daylight killer based off how supportive they would be for transgender people. Let me know if I got anything wrong. I probably did, just based off of my lack of knowledge of the intricacies of Dead by Daylight lore. But if you have something negative to say, something transphobic to say, maybe even regarding me or this tier list or whatever, just know that this list was, once again, done for pure fun and whimsy and joy. And try having some fun and whimsy in your life before you just tell people to kill themselves. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and even share the video if you liked it that much. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys!